Hi, this is Jake Hinkson. I'm here to say a few words about my book, No Tomorrow. This novel began with me doing some research into the Poverty Row studios of Hollywood back in the 40s and 50s. I was really fascinated by this kind of filmmaking that was very low budget, and films were often shot in only a few weeks. And in doing research on that period of time and that group of films, I was doing research on that for some essays that I was writing on film. But the more I wrote about it, the more it sort of started to stay with me as something that I might want to write about in fiction, that I might want to put into a novel. At the same time, I've always been interested in the lesbian pulp novels of the 1950s. People like Anne Banyan or Patricia Highsmith. Those novels are very interesting to me as well. And I always thought it was a shame that books like that were never made into movies at the time, because I loved the aesthetic of the 1950s and 40s. And I loved those books from that time, but those books could not have been brought to film. They just would never have been allowed to be on film, of course. And then the third influence that went into No Tomorrow was, of course, my big interest in religion. I come from a very religious kind of background. That's another way. That's another thing that never would have been allowed to sort of interact with the films of the 40s and 50s. It never would have represented where I came from. I'm from Arkansas originally, and you would never see Arkansas represented in any kind of meaningful way in films at the time. So the more I started thinking about these things, the more these disparate elements started to come together. This group of novels, this genre of fiction that I thought was very interesting, and then this era of filmmaking in Hollywood, this very small era of filmmaking in Hollywood, combined with, you know, sort of my weird Arkansas stuff, and in particular the religious atmosphere of Arkansas. And the more that those elements started to mix together, the more the book started to grow. And it just sort of went and went and went. And when I really got into it, I realized I was onto something that I would really enjoy. You know, I mean, that's the thing about writing novels, I think. You really have to write a book that you want to read. You know, No Tomorrow is the kind of book that when I was a kid coming up, and, you know, when I was in my 20s, I would have loved to have read a book about this, the book that combined all these disparate elements. And there's no book like that, so I had to write it myself, basically. So anyway, that's the background on that book. I hope you enjoy it, and thank you very much. Thanks.